A late autumn wind moved through the sleepy town of Ashford, Texas, carrying with it the scent of damp leaves and something faintly metallic like rust or dried blood. The streets were narrow, the houses old, their paint cracked and peeling, and the trees overhead seemed to hunch protectively over the sidewalks as if they knew something the people didn't. Ashford had always been a quiet place, the kind of town where gossip traveled faster than the mail and everybody knew who you were before you even introduced yourself. But quiet places have a way of hiding the loudest ghosts. Lydia Cross arrived on a Monday morning, stepping off the rusted Greyhound bus with a single black suitcase and eyes that looked like they could see through skin. She was 17, pale as moonlight, dressed in dark clothes that seemed stitched out of shadows. She wasn't there by choice. Her parents had shipped her off after one too many incidents at her last school, small fires starting in empty hallways, animals acting strange around her, a teacher who claimed Lydia had looked straight into my head. The new place wasn't really a school in the normal sense. Hawthorne Academy was an ancient mansion-turned-boarding school at the edge of town, a place for misfits, troublemakers, and children whose parents couldn't quite explain them. The cab ride from the bus station to the academy was long enough for Lydia to notice the way the road narrowed the closer they got. The asphalt cracked, the trees closing in like they were swallowing the world. The building appeared suddenly out of the woods, 4 stories of weathered brick and blackened windows, its roof bristling with spires and gutters shaped like gargoyle heads. The driver didn't even wait for her to shut the door before pulling. Away inside, the air smelled faintly of mildew and old books. The headmistress, Mrs. Grafton, was tall, thin, and sharp-featured, her eyes like twin pieces of smoky glass. She spoke in clipped tones, explaining the rules: curfew at 10, no wandering the east wing after dark, never open your windows at night. She didn't explain why. Lydia's roommate, Marla, was all nervous energy, a thin girl with choppy hair and a constant twitch in her left eye. She whispered to Lydia that the east wing was sealed off because of a fire years ago, though some students claimed to see lights moving behind the boarded windows. Others swore they heard knocking, soft and deliberate, from inside the walls. Lydia listened but said nothing. She had learned early in life that speaking about strange things only made people look at you differently. That first week, Lydia noticed patterns. A boy in the dining hall who never ate anything but stared hungrily at people's hands. A girl who walked in circles in the courtyard at exactly the same time every day, whispering numbers under her breath. At night, the floorboards creaked, as if someone was pacing outside her room, and once she woke to find her window unlocked, the curtains swaying though she was certain she'd shut it. It was the second Friday when the real trouble started. Lydia had wandered into the library, a cavernous room that smelled of damp paper. In a far corner she found an old ledger, its pages filled with names and dates. Most of the dates ended abruptly in 1963. One name, scratched into the paper so hard it tore through, caught her eye: Anna Grafton. Same last name as the headmistress. Beneath the name was a note in shaky handwriting: taken in the east wing, still here. That night, she dreamt of a girl with long black hair standing in the east wing hallway. The girl's mouth moved, forming words Lydia couldn't hear, but her eyes were wide with terror. When she woke, she could still smell smoke in her room. Marla was gone from her bed. She found her an hour later, standing barefoot in the east wing corridor. The boards over the door had been pulled away like brittle paper. Marla's eyes were unfocused, her lips moving in the same silent rhythm as the girl in Lydia's dream. When Lydia touched her shoulder, Marla's head snapped toward her and her mouth opened far too wide, a sound like 1,000 whispers pouring out. Then, without warning, she collapsed. The headmistress claimed Marla had suffered a sleepwalking episode and was being kept in the infirmary. But Lydia knew better. She began sneaking into the east wing at night, drawn by something she couldn't name. The halls there were colder, lined with scorched wallpaper, and the air felt thicker, harder to breathe. Once she swore she saw a figure dart across the hallway, only to vanish into a locked door. She started hearing it too, the knocking. Slow and deliberate, always coming from the other side of the wall. On the fifth night, Lydia brought a candle and followed the sound to the far end of the corridor. There she found a door, its handle icy to the touch. When she pushed it open, the candlelight revealed a charred room with a single bed frame and a mirror hanging crooked on the wall. The mirror's glass was rippled like water. She stepped closer, and for a moment, the reflection wasn't hers. It was the black-haired girl from her dream. The girl raised a hand and pointed behind Lydia. When Lydia turned, the room was filled with smoke, and standing in the corner was a tall, skeletal figure with hollow eyes and a mouth that opened in slow, deliberate hunger. Its voice wasn't a sound so much as a feeling, a pressure inside her skull. Stay. She tried to run, but the door was gone. The floor beneath her shifted, pulling her toward the mirror, and she felt the cold glass close over her skin like a second coffin lid. The next morning, the headmistress told the students Lydia had transferred to another school overnight. Marla returned to class, pale but quiet, never meeting anyone's eyes. That night in the East Wing, the knocking began again. But now, between each knock, there was something else, a faint, desperate scratching. Like nails on glass. It was coming from the mirror.